when the Big Bang first started up, there was a kind of an energy behind that expansion, that transition from being contracted to being expanded open of the universe. And that energy is like it's a kind of primordial light. It's like a primordial fire. Primordial fire, for those of you with Vedic training, Agni is that fire. That is, I'm describing it in words because it is one of the principal or fundamental modes in which the celestial level of the physiology hums. And what I mean by that is that our bodies, more than just physical bodies, but all the range of manifestation from very subtle to very dense. The celestial level is the word, celestial is the word I use for the very finest level of the physiology. And the cool thing about this finest level of the physiology is it's very, very close to the source of creation. It's like right on the edge. And on the edge, it has many characteristics of the source of creation, including that it is quite expanded, including that it begins, we can measure well, probably not objectively through objective science yet, but through consciousness, the celestial body ranges from the very beginnings of the Big Bang all the way to the collapse at the other end of creation. And it stretches out into every remote corner of the universe. This part of the physiology it's more like a field than it is like a structure. And it sits quiet most of the time. It sits quiet unless we choose to activate it, like a musical instrument in its case. Or a piano with its lid down. It's not making music unless the musician comes and opens up and chooses or selects to play in a particular key. And we can think of the different key signatures, like the key of C minor or the key of B diminished or the whatever, whatever the different keys. Each have their own sort of flavor or quality that they give to the music. So this primordial light of creation has a certain flavor or quality that when the celestial body chooses or selects to kind of vibrate up into that particular mode, then we get an energy moving through the entire system of the physiology, which is supportive of highest digestive health, among other things, and also manifesting concisely. So that's what's happening, is the celestial level of physiology is talking to the liver and the gallbladder and is adjusting and modifying. It's also, the celestial level of the physiology is also talking to intelligences which oversee different systems of the body, including the digestive system and the endocrine system, particularly nervous system, circulatory system. All these systems are receiving information. They're receiving cosmic download. So this ties in a little bit to one of the questions that came in, which is the next point that I want to make. The question is, do you have any specific suggestions for all participants in the webinar on how to be more self-sustaining in our own healing? So the suggestions are based on the underlying assumption or understanding that there is a source of creation. And that source of creation isn't the creation itself, it is the organizing energy behind the intelligence behind the creation. So the source of creation itself is unmanifest, silent, but it is by virtue of this Agni, this light, this primordial light, it is expanding in every direction simultaneously at infinite speed. But the manifest level of creation is like a skin around this expansion. And you can think of it like a seed or a nut, that there's a empty space inside the nut, and it's really in the empty space that the consciousness exists of the tree yet to be. And so this emptiness is expanding out and the skin of creation is pressing in like that. And where they meet each other, there's like a kind of a little pressure, and the pressure point, that gap, is where the manifesting process occurs. So what we're doing is we're taking that gap between the pressing out of infinity and the pressing in of the infinite manifest creation, and we're looking under the microscope at it so we can see it as this range of expression, from very dense physical body up here down through the subtler levels of the physiology down to the celestial level of the physiology. So practical suggestion is get to know the celestial level of your physiology, because that's the level from which the different, it's like if a musician, a student comes, I used to teach music, comes to learn music, and they want to learn to play songs. First, they have to learn to play scales. Or if a dancer wants to learn to do an arabesque, first they have to be able to walk. So the modes of the celestial body are key to manifesting specific effects or results in the relative field of creation. The celestial level, the source of creation, speaks. This is getting back to what just happened with the organs of digestion and the different systems of the body. The source of creation speaks to this whole manifest range over here through the universal language of perception and experience. It is received by the physiology, whether dense or subtle levels of the physiology is received by these levels through the universal language of perception and experience. As the body receives a cognition or a wave of light energy, a wave of consciousness from the source of consciousness, from the field of pure consciousness, the source of creation, that often it comes in through the head. It's felt like a wave of light energy or knowledge or knowingness that comes into the head. And the physiology responds in a particular way. It responds by producing various neurochemicals which activate the senses of perception. And as the senses of perception activate, we come to understand or know what that cognition is on a mental level, on the level of conscious awareness. So the systems of the physiology just received a download. And I felt it come in, and I felt it come in for everybody in the session. But one of the biggest fun things for me in these webinars is the opportunity to watch new healing processes unfold. And by the virtue of your creative intelligence, by the virtue of the divine flowing through your physiologies, we're all connected together.